What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sitting on the Floor, showing you how to hook up the QS165 kit episode. Now today I'm going to be sitting on the floor showing you how to hook up this QS165 kit that I bought. And if one of you guys or any of you decide to buy the same kit that I bought, when you get it in, the wiring harness is a huge mess and it's pretty overwhelming to look at, but I got it figured out. Other than the display, I'll have to make another video for that. Hopefully one of you guys can chime in and help me figure out how to get the display to read the amps pulling out and as well as the speed. I've tried a bunch of different configurations with the one line and I can't figure out where the controller is sending CAN positive and negative to the display. So if you have any input, let us know. Me and Jordan have been trying to figure it out and no luck so far. But while I'm on that note, shout out Jordan, you're the man. Shout out Katie, his wife, and Maddie, my girlfriend, for putting up with our expensive habits and the long hours we spend in the garage. You too, appreciate you. But yeah, anyway, so let me get the camera set up on the tripod and I'll work this harness out for you. That way, if you decide to get the kit, it's nice and easy. Follow my step by step and we'll have you rolling. We'll have blinker lights, we'll have headlights, basically everything that it comes with. And then I'll show you it all works with my voltmeter. I don't have any lights, any 12 volt lighting to show you, so I got my voltmeter hooked up and I'll show you it sending 12 volts. But yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so if you end up deciding to buy this specific kit that I am working on, it's pretty great other than figuring out the display. But you're going to give yourself 4 blinkers, you got your high beam, low beam, you got a horn. So I mean, it's a whole light kit and it's great for if you want a bike that has all that stuff. Now they do have dumbed down versions where it's just your throttle, your speed settings, and that's pretty much it. But if you do decide to go this route and you get your box in, you pull everything out and you're like, what in the hell am I gonna do with all this stuff? Well, let me make this easy for you. So basically you're gonna have 2 sides to your main harness. We'll call it a lower side or the back side, and then we'll call it the front side. So the first thing you want to start off doing is not obviously, but if you've hooked up a motor to a controller before, you have your 3-hole, phase wires right here. Those are color coded, so easy: yellow, green, blue. Get those down. And then of course we're gonna have my battery leads. I'm running this off a 48 volt pack right now just to test it out, but obviously you'll have your black and your red. Now off the bottom of the harness you're gonna have a red and a green wire coming out that go to ring terminals. The red you're gonna hook up to your positive, and of course your green you're gonna hook up to your negative. Now throughout this harness you'll notice green is going to be ground for most of your lighting functions and everything else. So just remember that green is usually your ground. Okay, so now once we got that hooked up, we'll go off the far driver controller. You're going to have 4 connectors. Now your first connector is going to be a little 4-pin. If yours came like mine, it has a red tag on it. Now that is going to go to your Bluetooth dongle. So we'll go ahead, plug in our Bluetooth dongle. Be very careful you don't bend any pins. Make sure it goes in nice and easy. Alright, and now we're going to go to our black connector, and this is going to be our encoder connector. So that will go right into the motor. If you worked with phase wires or phase motors and controllers, same thing, but this is your encoder. So now we got that connected, and now we're left with 2 more. You're gonna have a 9-pin and a 6-pin. Now your 9-pin, this is going to be your one line and you know, power to the controls. You're going to have just a bunch of different stuff. You know, I'm not too familiar with all of it, but basically once you go to your bottom of your harness, you're going to see you have another 9-pin, and you're going to plug these two in. Alright, that's going to be your only 9-pin at the lower part of the harness. And then off of the far driver harness, you only have one 6-pin left. In the bottom of your main harness, another one 6-pin. Now there's only two coming out of the harness, I believe, for speed 1 and speed 2. So I believe I'm going to have to come up with something off of this to go into the can for the display. I don't know. If you know, please let me know. That would be awesome. But anyways, we'll plug in our 6-pin connector, and from there we're basically set for the lower end. Now you'll notice you have more coming off of it, and if you got my kit, you'll also get a, I believe it's a 10 amp DC reducer. So it'll go from, you know, 72 to down to 12 volts. That way it'll power all your 12 volt lighting. You'll get a 72 volt relay, and then you'll see coming, you know, a couple inches off the bottom of the harness, you'll have your relay connector. Very hard to miss, only plugs in one way. So let's plug in our relay. Done and done. And then right next to that, you'll have a 3-pin for your DC to DC converter. I depinned it to do something else and I lost it, so I just kind of plugged it in for now. Gotta go find the opposite connector for that, but don't worry about that. And basically we are finished with the bottom half of our harness. Now you'll notice you have 3 more connectors coming out, 4 more I should say. This one is going to be for your low brake. I think that's for regen, and I don't know if I'll necessarily be using that. But these 3 connectors, you'll have 2 2-pins and 1 3-pin. So remember that these two pins are going to be your blinker left and your blinker right. And these will be exactly the same on the top for your front blinker right and your front blinker left. So you'll notice you'll have green and blue, green being your ground, and then you have green and orange, and obviously green being your ground. So you got left and right, and then I will put the wiring diagram right over top of the video. That way you can pause it if you do need to use it. It helped me out. You know, I just went 1 pin at a time, one connector at a time. Very easy to figure out. And then you're going to have this 3-pin. Again, you got green as your ground, and then you got green, yellow, which, you know, don't quote me on it. You'll have to look at the diagram. But you're going to have running light and then brake light. So that way when you turn your headlights on, your brake light turns on as a running light, or your tail light turns on as a running light, and then your brown will be your tail light. Now I'll come back to that later, because when you get to the top, you're going to have 2 connectors for your brakes, and once you activate your brake, then it'll send signal to this brown wire, connect it to ground, and then your brakes will flash. Alright, so that is complete for the bottom half of the harness, and now we're going to move our way over. You'll see I have my voltage reader here, and I'm going to show you that the controls work later on. Since I don't have any 12 volt lights, I'm just going to connect them into the pin. I'll turn the blinker on and you can watch it flash from 0 to 12 volts. But anyway, so moving up, our first wire going all the way up is going to be this 2-pin, and it's a yellow and a red. Now we have our key switch, yellow and red. We're going to connect that. Again, nice and easy. So now we have our on and off. Okay, and then this is where it gets kind of complicated, but again, like I said, if you do this one at a time, it's not a big deal. So we'll start with our first solenoid. It's going to be a gray, black, and green 3-pin connector. Now we're going to go in here, and this one is going to match. So you find your 3-pin. We got green, black, and gray, and it matches perfectly. And then we're going to plug that in. Alright, so now that we got that plugged in, we'll start with our throttle. Our throttle's got 3 speeds, and then it's got lights on, running light, and headlights. And then of course you're going to have your horn. Alright, so off of that you're going to have 2 3-pins, and you're going to have 1 9-pin. Now you'll notice on the 9-pin you only have, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires connected to it. So off of our main harness, we're going to look at our, our 9-pin connectors, and you'll notice this one off the throttle is a, I'm just going to call it a female, and then the one coming off of the harness is a male. So basically, you'll have 2 9-pin connectors that are male, okay? And then we notice that we only have 5 wires coming out of here, and now we notice that we only have 5 wires coming out of this one, and it looks like this one has 8 coming out of here. So we want to match our numbers 5 to 5. So we'll get that plugged in with the other 5, and now we're left with 2 more 3-pins. So one of them is going to be your throttle, and you know, you're going to have a basic red, black, and green. So let's go to our main harness, and we want to look for another 3-pin connector, and we got red, black, and green. So let's plug that in. Now we have throttle, and then our last one, this is going to be our 3-speed switch, and that is alright, sorry about the interruption. So anyways, back to where we are. So we got the 3-pin for our 3-speed connection. Now if you go back down to the bottom of the harness, like I said earlier, there's this 6-pin that only has 2 speeds in it. And you'll notice we got a pink and a yellow. So we know this one is our 3-speed, and we'll come back up here and we can see we have our yellow and our pink with a ground in it. And we're going to know that our 3-speed is going to go with our 2-speed, and we're going to plug that in just like so. So now we have the throttle completely connected, and we will put that to the side, and then we will move to our other throttles, or handlebar switches. So basically you're going to have blinkers, and you're going to have low beam, high beam, and just notice there's another horn button. Don't know why that is. But off of that you're going to have another 9-pin. This one's going to have 8 wires connected to it. And if you remember, our other 9-pin off the main harness also had 8. So we'll take those 2, plug them together. And that leaves us with 1 3-pin. And then you're going to have 1 3-pin left on the harness. So we'll connect that together as well. Alright, so now we are left with 1 9-pin connector off of the harness, and we still have our display to go. Now the display has 2 connectors coming off of it, 2 9-pins, 1 male, 1 female. So we'll take the male connected into here. We'll notice we have 3, 4, 5, 6 wires connected and 6 wires connected in here. Plug that in together. So this 2-wire 9-pin right here is for CAN negative and CAN positive. I'm assuming this is going to talk to the controller somehow if I can figure out the pinout. So for now we leave that unconnected until later on when I finally figure out how to get this to read speed. So basically we're done connecting with all of our accessories, and we are left with these 3 connectors right here. Now this goofy looking 2-pin, we are left with 1, 2, 3, we are left with 6 connectors. So this goofy looking 2-pin, this is connected to a horn. So if you do use a horn, this is what you'll connect it to, and when you press the horn button, it sends signal to these right here. And then you're going to have These two with the blade connectors, I think that's what they're called, not 100% sure, but these will connect to your right brake and your left brake. Either or, it doesn't matter. But basically, when these two touch, it sends signal to our brake connector down here to flash the brake lights. And then when you let go, it shuts them off, obviously. So these will connect to your brake levers. We got these three out of the way, and we are left with three more. So these three right here, again, you're going to have your two 2-pins. If you remember earlier, we have the green orange and the green blue, exactly the same as back there for your blinkers. So your green blue will be your right, front and back, and then your green orange will be your front and your back on your right side or left side, whatever you may have hooked up to. Again, refer to the pinout chart and you'll be able to figure out which is which. And we're left with our last one. So our last one is going to have a 4-pin connector. You're going to have green, which is your ground. You're going to have blue, which is your high beam, and white, which is your low beam. Then I believe, I can't remember what the brown is. The brown is, what is the brown? I think the brown is just the running light. That way when you flip it on to, yeah, something like that. I believe it's the running light. We'll have to refer to the pinout and you can figure that out. But it's pretty easy. Once you find it on the diagram, it tells you, you know, blue is this, brown is that. So it's not a big deal. So at this point, we are completely hooked up with our peripherals, other than obviously you'll have to go out and buy your own lights and figure out what you want to do. But they are ready to go, they are powered. So let's take this opportunity, and we are plugged into the battery. We are all good, we're all plugged in, we got our voltmeter on. So we'll take our key, turn it on, and you can see the display works. Let me hold the motor down, give it a little bit of throttle. Now this is pre-tuned thanks to Jordan, so if you need help tuning your far driver, I'll put a link below down to his Facebook profile, and you can bug him. I'm sure he will help you out, but as for me, I can't help you with that stuff. I'm still learning, and honestly, I think he would be better at leading you in the right direction. But yeah, so now that we're all completely hooked up, minus the speed sensor, let me show you that everything works now. So let's go with our, I believe our right brake is blue and green. So again, we'll take our negative probe off of our voltmeter to green and our red to blue. See if I can hold those on there, and then we'll go over here, hit right, and now you can see it blinking from 12 volt to like 2 volt. I mean, it's basically zero, it's just not keeping up with it. But as you can see, right is working, and then we go to left, green as our negative, and you can see we have nothing unless we switch to left. Now you can see it bouncing between 12 and 0, so that we have blinking from the relay, and it's coming out as 12 volt through the DC to DC converter. Okay, so let's give you another one. This one's pretty easy to do. This is going to be our horn. Horn, you're going to have light green as your ground and dark green as your positive. You'll see I've actually never tried to use this one. Press the horn, let go of it, press the horn, 12 volts, let go of it. Now I'm going to try this one too. Horn, got 12 volts, let go, you got 0 volts. So the horn does work. Now let's go to our headlight connectors, and let's go green as our ground, and then we will touch white, which I believe is going to be low beam. Alright, so from our control, we want to go from off all the way to lights on, and as you can see, we are on low beam. Now, if you watch the display, when I turn it on to high beam, it shows you high beam, and we're zeroed out on voltage. So I go from my white connector positive to my blue connector positive, and you can see we have 12 volts. So we are getting high beam and low beam. So you can see I shut the high beam off, it shuts off, turn the high beam on, we get 12 volts showing on our display. So that's working perfect. Now let's shut our lights off, we're back to 0, and let's go to that mystery brown one. Let me put positive probe on brown, and let's turn the light to running lights. Yep, so that's going to be your running light. So basically you should have power to your regular headlight. Actually, I think these are just indicator lights, or not indicator lights, but you know, like on cars, they have those yellow marker lights or the orange marker lights just to let people know your car is on. So if we take that out, let's shut that off. We'll go to our tail light, and we should also have marker lights on here as well, which I believe is brown. So we'll go green as negative, and then brown positive. Yep, excuse me, this is very hard to do. And then we'll turn running lights on, and we got 12 volts. So yes, brown on the rear and brown on the front of your brake light and headlight is going to be your running lights. So we can see that's working just fine. And let me think, I think that's about it. Oh, let me show you the brakes. So let's go with brakes. Let's shut our lights off, and we will go on the 3-pin connector where we just did our running lights. We'll do black to green, and then let me shove these in here. I gotta fix these connectors when I'm done. And then we'll go into our brake lights. Now you'll see I'm zeroed out, 0 volts. And then if you take your green and black with your blade connectors, whatever you want to call them, so either one, just grab one. You're connected, your brake light is connected, and it's just waiting for voltage to be passed through. So here we go, touch them together. You got 12 volts. Let go, you don't. Touch them together, you got 12 volts. So that would simulate your brake switch. If you press the brakes, it has these two touch, and you get 12 volts. Same with this one. This will be your right side, left side, whatever. Touch them together, you got 12 volts. Let go, you have nothing. So that's just your simple brake loop back to your brake lights. But yeah, I think that's pretty much gonna do it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. But yeah, hopefully this simplified it for you and made it a little bit easier to manage. I know when I first got it, I was stressing out. But last night I sat down with the wiring diagrams that they showed me and sent me through Aliexpress. It was the SIA EcoSys, got it straight from them, and it helped out a ton if I just calmed down, started from one pin, recognized what that one pin was, and just connected one thing at a time until I was left with just my bears for the lights, brakes, and that was about it. Alright guys, hope this video helped you out, whether you're putting it into a Sur-Ron with the full light kit or you're tearing up your bike to put it in. So make sure, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We'll be tearing into the Mototech here soon and mounting it up and doing a bunch of test rips and just showing what this QS165 motor can do. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill, and until next time, peace.